everyone. Sorry for all these technical things. Uh, Today's talk, we are going to see environment and animal-based subsistence using the archaeozoological record. Now, here in this forum, I don't think anybody needs to know what is archaeozoology. But before entering into the subject, I would like to thank the organizers for all these talks, very nice talks, under the Arva manner. Archaeology in action. Archaeology is always in action because we have to be in the field. And I will give you a summary of what I have done in this very animal record through my work over the years. But before that, I think I must acknowledge all those people who have been part of my team, because it's a teamwork, everybody knows. So many people are there, some of them are not there, like Professor Joglekar, who introduced me to the field at Kuntasi in Gujarat, long time ago, now almost 35 years ago. And so many people like Professor Shinde, Professor R.N. Singh, Professor Manmohan Kumar, Dr. Prabhakar, who is here, and so many of them are there in this slide. So it is all because of all these people that I could get the material, animal remains to study, and then talk about something about the animals that I could find in my record. Next, please. Also, I think I need to also acknowledge the help that I have got from my students and of course my teacher, Professor Thomas, from whom I have learned how to study the animal remains. Not only study the animal remains from zoological point, but how to interpret them from the archaeological perspective. These are my students. Pankaj Goyal, Sharda is very much in IIT Gandhinagar right now. Abhayan from Kerala and Jayashri Mungur from Mauritius. All these people have helped me in all these sites that I have been talking about. I will be talking about soon. Next, please. Now, since today I am going to give an overview of the animals and the subsistence, animal-based subsistence. I should also mention that some of the reviews that already have been done, it's a kind of an overview today, but some reviews have been available in the past, right from 1988 with different angles. Some of them only from the cultural point of view, some of them only from methodological point of view. For example, my paper in 2013 is more focused on the methodology part. That what are the gaps in finding the archaeozoological record? Some like our very old paper, which is still cited, is Thomas and Joglekar 1994, in which we have summarized so many Harappan sites, so many sites together, and talked about the relative occurrence of different species. Today also I'm going to speak a bit about that. Next, please. Now this is a simple map, and I'm sure everybody has shown you maps before. Or will be also showing the maps so that we know which are the sites, and especially those who are in the field always know where are the sites. Basically, what I'm talking about is sites in Punjab, only couple, several sites in Haryana now, a few sites in Rajasthan, and many sites in Gujarat, except one site in Uttar Pradesh, that is Alamgir Pool, which has been included in my overview. Other sites are especially from these 4 states. So we can go ahead with the map, and then let me list quickly some sites in front of you so that you know which sites I'm actually talking about. As I said, Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, and a small sample from Uttar Pradesh, that is Alamgir Pool. There is a Ropad, which is a late Harappan site, and also the PGW remains there. There is a Burj, but there are 2 Burj. One is in Punjab and one is in Haryana. Both have been included, the site of Bana, which was excavated a long time ago. And then Haryana has many recently excavated sites. Why I'm saying recently excavated, because there have been excavations in the past. Say, for example, like Bitathal or Harmana, there have been some trial excavations earlier. But the animal remains have not been collected, or if they have been collected, we don't know where they are, or we don't have access anyway. So the recent excavations have provided us with animal remains with good quality collection and with proper context and proper archaeological recording, so that we are able to now talk about. various dimensions of how people looked at animals, Harappan people looked at animals and how they utilized them for a variety of purposes. There is a star on the side. And the star in the side shows that the sample is very small. For example, the site of Burj in Punjab, the previous one, the Burj in Punjab, only a few, less than 100 animal remains have been examined. Same thing is true about Rakhigarhi. Although Rakhigarhi is the news site, often talked about, but the animal remains which have been studied are not more than 1,000. And the site should actually produce more than 1 million of animal remains. But hardly we have record of studied materials will be hardly like that 1,000. And so the small sample, it makes a lot of difference when we interpret animal-based subsistence with a small sample, but anyway, that is what it is. Next, please. Next, please. These are the sites in Gujarat. Earlier, I talked about the sites in Haryana, Punjab, Rajasthan. Now, these are the sites in Gujarat. And one site in Uttar Pradesh, which I said about Alandirpur, which is a great Harappan site. Gujarat has several sites. Of course, Dholavira, again, a huge site. Now, recently, I know that the material is being studied freshly. But what we have is a small sample study by Achita Patel and Richard Meadow earlier. So the sample, as compared to the size of the site, is really negligible. Then we have sites like Surkotada, which was excavated long time ago and studied also long time ago. Shikarpur, which was excavated twice, and I have studied both times. One which was excavated in 1988, 89, and 90, and then recently excavated by Athens University. I could study the material from both sides. Again, Bagasra, which is a site excavated by Athens University, material as compared to the size of the settlement is relatively less. So also some sites like Kaz, which was excavated by NIO Goa, Babarkot, which was excavated by Pennsylvania State Museum, I think in 88 or something like that. It's very small sample was collected, and it was a selective sample anyway. It was collected and it was studied. And we have only one site in Maharashtra, which is hardly can be called as Harappan site. It is a very, very late Harappan site. Very flimsy record of Harappans is there. Next, please. Now, I have decided to show you some sites and some material while going to see which animals are present at which sites. So this is the site of Bahola, excavated by PHU and Cambridge University under a project. This is the site, and every site I'm putting some site and some material next to it. Next, please. Formal report is done, but it is unpublished. It was given in 2012. A small paper has been published, and this is the material. I have chosen the slides in such a way that you see mammals, birds, reptiles, non-mammals, or whatever is possible, some tools, some modified modes, and something like that. Also, the number of sample number is also given so that we know which site is given is what, how much amount of. Next, please. This is a site of Birlana, which was excavated for several seasons by A.I.H.C, by L.S. Rao, who is no more now. And the material has been studied 2 times. I think it is still being studied once again. The material was studied by Aarti Deshpande Mukherjee almost 12 years ago, and almost 10 years ago by her student. But still, the sample size is very less. It is not more than 616. And this is a site of Burj in Haryana, which was excavated again by the same BHU Cambridge project. This is a site, some photos from the site. And this is the material from the site with molluscan shells. Especially the molluscan shells here, we see gastropods and bivalves, and several bivalve species, I think 3. So sorry. Species have been, please go back. I'm still in Burj. Prabhakarji, please go back. Here. Gastropod species and bivalve species have been utilized for food purpose. Although we don't see large water bodies today around it, but must be some water bodies around at that time. Next, please. This is a site of Farmana exploited by Deccan College and Kyoto Institute of RIHN Institute in Kyoto. For 2-3 seasons, the site has produced enormous amount of fossil material, and which has been examined by Sharda from a PhD, and earlier also we have studied it separately. So in a way, the material has been studied very well, even with plotting the bones of the site plan. Okay, these are the bones from Farmana, as I said, studied by Sharda and also earlier afterwards also by me. So here I am showing you some bones with cut marks and bone modifications. Next, please. Next slide is Girawad. Here some pit dwellings have been found, and the site was occupied during the pre-Harappan, early Harappan, mature Harappan, and some very late Harappans also. The site has again produced a large number of animal remains. They have been examined again, plotted very well, and next slide will show you some bones found from Girawad. Next, please. Yeah, these are the bones from Girawad with modifications, especially if you look at the lower photo where phalanges have been shown, 3 phalanges have been shown. You can see a typical breakage pattern, which is with some bone modification in the lower ones, on the left hand side lower, with some bone modification. So probably for making something out of it, and one of them is charred. Next one, please. This is a site of Karsola, which was excavated by ASI and Deccan College together. The site is relatively small. It was a very small site relatively, but it has given us a large number of animal remains. Next, please. You can see 8,888, exactly 8888 number of animal remains have been studied from here. You can see several bone modifications, cut marks, very sharp cut marks, some bones like especially antlers who have been fashioned to make something out of it. The report has been submitted in 2012 but not yet published. Next, please. Next site is Lohat. Lohat was excavated by MD University of Rohtak and University of Delhi together for 1 season only. The material was collected, but we studied the material on the site itself, and the material was never handed over for further laboratory processing. But whatever we could see from the field studies, we could see many fish remains, some bird remains, especially water birds. But unfortunately, we could not study further and say anything because it's in the field we cannot find out the species very accurately. Next, please. This is a site of Mitathal, quite famous, and now perhaps not there no more, because last time I went, I think it was in 2016 or something. But 6 years, I don't know what has happened to the site, because even before, when the site was excavated in 2011 and 12, in 13-14 itself, half of the site has already vanished because of vandalism and because of agricultural practices there. But anyway, a lot of animal remains have been collected here. Earlier, it was also excavated by Suraj Bansam a long time ago, but material is not traceable. But this excavated material of project of RIHN and Deccan College with MD University, we could see several animal remains. 2 samples were examined, one from 2006 and 7 field season. 674 numbers were studied. Here we can also see some gastropod shells. You can see phalanges and teeth and other things. Again, they are not representing anything, but I'm just showing different sites and different material. That's the only way I am putting it. Next, please. Mitathal was again excavated by MD University separately by Dr. Manmohan Kumar. And this material also has been stated, which is quite large. Entire material has been examined. We saw many intact bones here. I don't know what was the area of that time at that site, but the bones were quite intact from this excavation. Many of them were quite intact, and we could make many measurements because they were intact. Next, please. Now, this is the site of Masudpur, which was excavated by BHU and Cambridge University together under the project. 2 papers have been published from here, 2014-15 and 2017. Report is given but not yet published. It is under processing. Next, please. This is the material from there. Again, large number of modified bones, fish also. Now, this is a peculiarity of Harappan sites in Haryana, that although there are no big large bodies, water bodies nearby, still you see freshwater fish species, at least 3-4 types of freshwater fish being exploited here, certainly at almost all Harappan sites in Haryana. In Gujarat, of course, the sites which are close to coast, it is obvious, but here in Haryana, there are quite a large number of fish remains. Next, please. This is the site of Kunal, recently excavated by Indian Archaeological Society, State Department of Archaeology, and the National Museum. Entire faunal material was examined in 2018, and part of it is only published. That is only the mature Harappan I have published, but rest the site is multiculture site or multi-phase of Harappan site. It is peculiarity I am showing you here on the left-hand side below the site photo is a Y-shaped kind of a bone. Now, this Y-shaped kind of a bone is called spina bifida, which is from our mature Harappan period. And this clearly indicates that humped cattle were present here, because this is a specifically peculiarity of the hump cattle that we see this kind of a Y-like, fork-like thing on the thoracic vertebra very clearly. It is necessary to say it very clearly. It is because at certain sites in Pakistan, maybe there is maybe that they were humpless cattle. That is what Richard Meadow has suggested in some papers, that cattle might have been humped as well as non-humped. But here is the evidence of humped cattle from Kunal, certainly. Next, please. Now, this is site of Rakigadi. Almost many people have seen the site here. No need to explain anything about Rakigadi as such, but the sample size is only 687. As I said, must have been 1 million, if anybody counts this thing. Now, this is a site of Ropad in Punjab, or Rupnagar, as Dr. Prabhakar himself has called it. It was excavated by A.I.H.C, Excavation Branch 2nd, in 2012. I mentioned earlier that Harappan as well as PGW contexts are there. This site also has given us good number of animal remains. The entire material has been examined. Next, please. This is a W.V.A.S. Chukta in Rajasthan. The site is near Kalibanga. It was excavated by BHU and Cambridge University. Here, on the side itself, also I have shown in the middle, there is an equid bone. Several equid bones, I think more than 2 dozens of equid bones have been found from here. Yet to confirm whether they are wild ass or horse. Probably they are falling in the wild ass category. Large wild asses, probably males. Also, we have small animals like squirrels, like bandicoot rats, and small animals which have been also exploited at this site. Of course, on the right-hand side, there is a turtle carapace, which is shown here. W.V.A.S. Chukta material is completed but unpublished yet. Now, this is a site of Karanpura excavated by Dr. Prabhakar. and ASI earlier. Again, entire faunal material has been studied. 8,000 remains have been studied, where Jayashri Munguru was associated with me. The report is not yet published. The peculiarity of this site is that you can see on the left hand side two large bones here on the black background. These are the bones of rhinoceros. Now, rhinoceroses have been reported earlier from Harappa, Mohenjo-daro also earlier, and site of Shikarpur, earlier we have reported rhinoceros from there. This is a record from Karanpura that we have a large number of large number. It is not one or two. Several bones of rhinos have been found at the site from mature Harappan context. Now, it is obvious that they must have been hunted or bones have been collected in bone form after the carcasses have been found back to the site. Either is possible. But in certain cases, some cases, which I have seen in some trenches, probably the whole leg, one foreleg and one hind leg of the rhino was brought perhaps back to the site because the bones are found in a serial fashion. They have not been collected as a dry bones. Next, please. This is a site of Khirsara in Gujarat, a fortified settlement excavated by ASI. Entire faunal material being examined, report submitted, yet awaiting the publication. 6,000 animal remains have been examined. This is a site of next one, Kanmer in Gujarat, excavated by RIHN Kyoto and Rajasthan Vidyapit. Professor Jeevan Kharakwal was the person. Entire faunal material has been studied, and Pankaj Goel has done PhD on this material. Here on the left hand side, you can see a photo which should have been actually upside down, but anyway, it's a wild buffalo phalanx. There are many wild buffaloes from Kanmer. Another peculiarity of Kanmer, because we are talking about environment also, another peculiarity of Kanmer is that when we go to the late phase, that's the late Harappan phase at Kanmer, we see increase in the number of hair and all the animals which are of dry savanna type of animals, such as black buck, such as chinkara, and number of hair. The minimum number of individuals of hair increases significantly during the later Harappan phase at Kanmer. Next, please. This is a site of Jaidak excavated by A.I.H.C University. A small sample has been examined, not very much, but anyway, it is a later Harappan site. Several bone modifications tools have been found. This is a peculiarity that at Harappan sites we see number of bone tools. Now here I will like to make some comment, little bit different comment. Many times when we excavate, we think only the points, arrowheads, or such obviously tool-like material is being collected on the site as tools. But when we examine animal remains, we see a large number of tools which have been modified because we don't need to use a tool for a long period of time. Sometimes it is just freshly cut, little bit of polishing, you use it and throw it. So such kind of tools are numerous actually in the archaeozoological record. Next, please. How much time is left, Prabhakarji? How much time is left?
Yeah, you can take at least 30 minutes, 30 more minutes.
Okay. Certainly 20 minutes definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. Now this is the site of Shikarpur in Gujarat, which I said earlier also. Excavated twice. This is a material from new excavation, but done by A.I.H.C University. Here we can see crabs. Two species of crabs here can be identified in large number. Crabs have been exploited a lot at Shikarpur. Of course, fish, obviously, because it is on the estuary itself. And the shell material, which was used as raw material for making something. So raw material waste is seen in this slide. Shikarpur has several species. Our earlier excavation, our study of earlier excavated material of 1990s, early 1990. I remember about 30 wild animal species have been reported from there. A very wide spectrum of animal species have been found at Shikarpur, including rhinoceros from there. Next, please. These are the two small sites, Kanjetar and Kaj, were excavated only dry trenches, actually speaking, by National Institute of Oceanography, Goa. Of course, crabs, obviously, because it's a site near to the sea, crabs have been found here. Again, those same species that we have found earlier, two species of crabs, which are quite common on Gujarat coast, have been found. One is black crab and other I just don't remember right now. But anyway, two species of crabs have been reported. Next, please. This is a site of Bokhira near Porbandar, again excavated by NIO in 2010. Crab remains, again here. Now, many sites have produced crab remains from Gujarat. Many are charred. Some of them are heavily charred, that means they are vitrified, perhaps left in the fire for a long period of time. What we see are the unwanted parts after consuming the crab. You don't see the carapace. You don't see other parts except some chelicerae, which are shown in these slides. Are only the unwanted parts after eating have been, of course, that is what archaeological material is coming from. So this is what site of Bokhira near Porbandar. Next, please. Now we come to the overall situation of what animals we have seen in the Harappan period. Obviously, mammals, most of it, partly because they have been utilized more and partly because their material survives better than the material of fish or crabs or birds. That is also another reason. Now they have been used for a variety of purposes. Obviously, everyone knows about it, like food, hide, milk, wool, labor, ornaments, tools, as pets, etc. Now we do not have direct evidence for wool or milk here from any of the Harappan sites. I'm not talking about micro remains. I'm just focusing on what micro remains that I could study at the site. Based on that, my interpretation is milk could have been utilized by Harappans, but we only can see through age profiles of the cattle that or the sheep or the goat that we have with us. Based on age profile, we may say that large number of lactating females, if we find, then we can say that, or the age of that lactating females, then we can say that milk perhaps was utilized. For labor, certainly there is evidence from Kanmer itself that we see typical stress marks of if a bull is working or a he buffalo is working with some heavy load or something for that matter. Ankylosis is one of the features which is seen on the phalanges, and some stress marks or extra growth might appear on the second phalanx. We have seen such evidence at some sites of cattle and buffaloes, he buffaloes probably, used for heavy traction or for heavy load carrying or something like that, something of that sort. For making ornaments, obviously, sturdy bones like mammalian bones have been utilized for fashioning into tools or some other instruments. Pets is only indirectly because we see cats and dogs on the site. I mean, there, many of them not consumed. So probably they were pets and therefore they have not eaten them. They have just thrown the carcasses or thrown the things, dead animals anyway. Now birds, several wild birds, as I said, water birds and domestic fowl, which is quite common on almost all the Harappan sites, as domestic fowl and some water birds and some other birds. We have reptiles in form of turtles. Only in a couple of cases, only the varanus or the monitor lizard, but mostly turtles and tortoises. Some star tortoise like land tortoise also has been exploited at some site. I think at Karanpura itself, I think I remember. Then fish, several species of fish. Earlier, we did not know how many species of fish were there because we did not have good reference collection. Now with the work done by Abhayan, a student, who has done a library of reference collection of 242 species on west coast of India. So therefore, we know now several species of fish. When you come to Gujarat, of course the coastal species. Why I'm saying coastal, not too deep sea fish we have seen. We have seen only the fish. Crabs I have already mentioned before. Two species of crab certainly, and some at some site some other species of crab as well. Next, please. Now coming to the non-mammals, as I said, domestic fowl among the birds. This is a list of birds. We have peafowl also, Pavo cristatus found from the Harappan sites. We have Bubulcus ibis. We have Answer indicus, that is a duck. We have teals. So many water birds, as I mentioned earlier. These are the species names. In the reptiles, we have seen the monitor lizard, Gavialis gangeticus, that is the Gavialis, crocodile, and many turtles. Except at one site we have got garden lizard, but it is, I don't think it was consumed. This just a few bones of garden lizard have been found. Next, please. Now we come to the non-mammals, more non-mammals like fish. As I said, rita, katla, labio, that is a rohita, roe, misty species, and so many freshwater species are here. Then we have a large number of mollusks. No need to go into the species name. This is an entirely different topic of discussion about the mollusks from Harappan sites, and I think Arti Deshpande is going to speak, or she's an expert on this, who has studied molluscan remains from Harappan sites a lot. Some species have been utilized for making ornaments, shell ornaments, and we have examples of like resource material also piled up at Nagwada and in Gujarat and some other sites. So we have them being utilized for making ornaments as well as for food. Some bivalve species have been utilized as food, especially Paphia gallus and Corbicola species, which is domestic one, freshwater. So they have been consumed also. And we have crabs, total 4 species have been found, as I've said earlier. Next one, please. Now coming to the domestic mammals, here I have put the things in summary format in form of what is called ubiquity index. So it is simple that how many sites have which number of which type of species. It is a very simple counting procedure. And based on that, when we say ubiquity index 100, it means it is found at all the sites. That is a simple meaning of that. So you can look at the ubiquity numbers and you can see that cattle, buffalo, sheep, goat, and pig have been found at almost all the sites. Like 73% sites have pigs, domestic pig remains. We have dogs, we have cats. Now there are 2. One is horse, which is 17.78% here. That means at 17% sites, horse remains have been reported. Now we will come to that after some time. Why are they there? And then we have camel at 13% sites. And we have donkeys at 11% sites. Next one, please. Now to continue with the ubiquity index, look at which sites have these special animals, special in the sense, those are non-food species actually speaking, such as cat, horse, donkey, and camel. We have seen horse it is reported at Rothal, Kuntasi, Malwan, Shikarpur. This material is Shikarpur material, is older material we have reported. Surkotoda, very famous and quite controversial as well. Kaneval, long time reported earlier. Kalibangan, Mohenjo-daro and Harappa are rear, and Perak in Pakistan. So it has been reported at several sites. Camel has been reported from Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, and as I said, Richard Meadows suggests that it may be a two-humped camel, not a one-humped camel. But in India, we have not seen camel bones except at Kuntasi in a very, very late phase. And Kalibanga, I have not studied the material, but it is reported from the field report. It is present at possibly at Rojdi also, because Paul Risman, who studied the material, has said it may be camel. Maybe camel is the kind of thing. At Nagvada, it has been reported earlier. Donkey has been found at, domestic donkey has been found at fair number of sites like Kalibanga, Kunal, recently in early Harappan context, Rangpur, B, Kuntasi, and Surkotada. Next one, please. Now coming to wild species, as I've said, it's a long list of wild species found. If you see, next one, please. Oh, sorry. Please return. If you see here, you can see elephant in form of ivory. No. Same. Okay. All right. Elephant in form of ivory, rhinoceros, as said before. We have gaur or Bos gaurus, wild buffalo, wild goat reported only from Shikarapur. Now this is something very difficult to explain, but we have tried to explain earlier from earlier material. We saw wild goat bones. Now this wild goat is not found in India at all in wild form. We don't expect it to be found in India even from any Holocene context. But we definitely see wild goat from Shikarapur, the earlier ones. Now how to explain it? Probably this had come from somewhere else, because Kuntasi is near to the coast. So probably through exchange or something, this wild goat must have traveled, not itself, but must have been carried by someone and brought it. Because the number of bones are also very less. Probably only one or two individuals, not more than that. But this is only very curious case of wild goat being reported from Harappan site. Then we have several deer, antelopes, gazelles, four-horned antelope. Next one, please. We continue with carnivores. Many carnivores, such as leopard, cheetah is something very interesting. Cheetah has been found at Kanmer in mature Harappan phase. Now, recently, cheetah has been brought to India for rehabilitation or regeneration, we can say. But it has been found at Kanmer in mature Harappan context. Then we have desert cat, we have fox, wild dog, Indian wild dog, reported from Rojdi, certainly, definitely reported from Rojdi. Now, all this material information, we are going to use it for looking at environment. Although we are talking of macro remains, we are going to talk from that. Then we have wild pig, of course, wild as reported from 10 sites, obviously Gujarat. Bear reported from 5 sites, and interestingly, bear has been reported from Farmana. The kind of bear location nearby has to be only from Arolis. So probably this bear has come from Aroli mountains or Aroli range to Farmana. Bear has not come, but probably people have brought meat or live bear which have died in Farmana, and therefore we could see the bones of that. But they have been found at 5 Harappan sites. We have primates found, of course, not consumed at Kuntasi late Harappan phase, a rhesus monkey at Kanmer in the late Harappan phase, but only a couple of bones, not more than that. And there are several others, small animals which could be consumed, such as hare, mongoose, civet cat, common palm cat, porcupine, bandicoots may not be consumed, and squirrels. Squirrel has been reported from Farmana in a good number and probably consumed. Next, please. Now this is, I think we can go on just skipping the slides just to see the species. Okay. I'm sure everyone has seen these animals in pictures, but still I put it in the slide. We can go on rapidly. Prabhakarji, we can go on seeing the slides quickly. With ubiquity, of course, I have quoted. Now we come to the analysis part of it. Now, this is what analysis I have attempted. I have started doing this for last 10 years or so. I have looked at the habitats in which these wild animal species have been found commonly today, of course, and then classified into these many categories of type you can see in this slide. And ubiquity index has been plotted on the other side. So less than 11% ubiquity means occurring at very few sites. And over 41% ubiquity index means occurring at large number of sites. So you can see in this slide itself, number 4, you can look at number 4 type, the animals which are found in savanna kind of environment, bushy areas near cultivation and shrubs, they dominate more. There are 12 species which have been found from Harappan sites. 12 species, and the number of bones is a different thing, or MNI is different thing. But 12 species have been exploited or utilized from this zone, which is shrubby, savanna category, bushy areas near cultivation, such as nilgai, which is commonly found in such areas. Then we have 6 species found from humid evergreen open jungles. Now, at present, none of these localities have humid evergreen jungles anywhere. But in the Harappan period, they were there perhaps because 6 species have been exploited from here. And they have not landed up themselves because they are wild animals. They have been hunted and consumed, and probably meat brought back or carcasses brought back. And then the rest of the things. We have, interestingly, 8 species which have been found from thick woods or forests, thick wood like wood forest species such as gaur or Bos gaurus, which requires very thick forests. Such species have been found, 8 in number, which is quite a large number. So the picture that these macro remains are telling us the Harappan period is people were utilizing such kind of environments which were probably, no, I'm still in the previous slide. People were utilizing such kind of areas or pockets, environmental pockets or habitat pockets near the sites, which were mostly savanna or open kind of areas, but also thick wood forests, and getting material from there or getting animals from there. Now, next slide, which is already put on the screen, is I am going to talk about the cattle, especially because it was possible to study cattle from for morphometric point of view. Cattle from so many sites like Girawad, Farmana, Mithatal, Rakhigadi, Masudpur, and Ropad from North India, Haryana, and Punjab. When we see the height of withers estimated from the bone material, we can see 2 things. Number 1 is the Kruskal-Wallis test shows that the distribution of, or rather the number of tall animals and relatively shorter animals is not same everywhere. We can see some distinct category of Girawad, Farmana, Mithatal cattle, which are quite tall. Rakhigadi's sample is very small, again only 13, but it is also coming from almost the same category. But if you look at the students' t-test of 2 groups, that is Girawad, Farmana, Mithatal versus Rakhigadi, Masudpur, and Ropad, we see t-test significant. That means these 2 groups, now this is very gross grouping, but these 2 groups had probably different stocks of cattle or different proto breeds of cattle. Why I'm saying proto breeds? Because we are not just sure if they're the breeds or they were the beginning of formation of breeds of cattle at that time. But we see in modern period, we see many specific areas of cattle breed like Red Sindhi, Tharparkar, Gir cattle or Kankraj cattle in Gujarat. We have seen such kind of modern day distribution of domestic cattle breeds with different body sizes and with different body proportions. So probably this is a beginning during Harappan period itself that some sort of breed formation had begun. Next, please. This is for Gujarat. Okay, this is for Gujarat. A similar attempt has been done
And Gujarat, we could almost come down to the conclusion, which is written in the last 2 lines. Here, Kanmer has been compared with Jaidak, Shikarpur, and Padri. Why Kanmer we compared is because we have got all the 3 phases at Kanmer, early, late, and mature. Have good number of samples to compare. Compared with Jaidak, Shikarpur, and Padri, we see probably large size cattle of Kankraj breed probably at Jaidak, Shikarpur, and Padri. Now, this is possible because when Kuntasi was examined earlier, here Kuntasi's name is not here, but when Kuntasi was examined earlier, when I have seen those material, that material, the dimensions of cattle bones found from Kuntasi, even at Shikarpur and even at Padri, they almost look like Kankraj breed of cattle. Again, probably the origin of Kankraj breed is from these areas, Saurashtra, where Jaidak, Shikarpur, and Padri have shown us the evidence that it was a proto-breed formation situation in Harappan period. There is very intensive evidence of intensive local breeding at Kanmer. Here there is some jugglery, or you can say some magic from a statistician, and that is, if you look at the coefficient of variation, which is decreasing from 8% to 4% and 4% to 1% or 2%, nearly getting half as we proceed from mature to the late, the coefficient of variation is coming down to half every time, which only means that more and more inbreeding is occurring and it's a move towards breed formation. That is one of the clues why I'm saying it is breed formation kind of situation. Next, please.